It's a time for pick it from China. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So with this video, we are going to take a close look at the new Powkiddy, but I love to say it, the Powkiddy. It's the X18 again, but this time it's the S model. I'm so curious about this device because everybody was talking a lot of positive about it, but I'm more like skeptical, and there is a good reason for it. But let's take a close look at the system later on. Just want to give you a quick look what's inside the box itself. In the box, we're going to find another box. And this box, it's not like freaking magic. It's just a tiny box that contains the USB cable. And finally, like freaking finally, they are using a Type-C cable. But let's take a close look over here, because of course it comes with the deluxe toilet glossy paper manual. Yeah, so it comes with an explanation how the system works, and also will show you in the video what you're going to get. Because this video I mainly want to focus on what is my first unboxing experience. It also comes with some specifications here. You can see, like, we talk about it later in the Wicked Nerdy time. And also checking with ADA64 if they're now lying, because would not be the surprise the first time they like surprised me with saying something, and in the end it's not freaking true. But let's take a close look at the handheld itself. But there is one thing I just wanted to say up front. Like the Powkiddy X18, they are still using the same kind of model. They did some minor tweaks here and there, but in overall I was really skeptical when I saw the first video. I think it was Sonic Love who made one of the first reviews on YouTube, and I must say that I was not really excited, simply because it's more of the same, or that is my first impression. And I must say that when I'm holding it in my hands itself, so first, I really love the color of the shell. Of course, this is personal. I really like this grayish looking color. But the Powkiddy X18s, I was hoping to get like a completely new revision. Not only for the shell, it's still the clamshell design, but there are some minor tweaks they did here and there. But in overall, it's still the same when it comes to the casing itself. And there is where I'm going to be like my first negative complaint. So yeah. Guess what? I still got the X18 laying around, so let's do a quick comparison. I will do a full comparison in another video, but I just wanted to show you when it comes to the casing, what are the differences and what are we going to get. But okay, so let's take a close look at the system itself. What are the options when it comes also we having a TV out, and like how comfortable is this bloody thing? But let's take a close look at the control panel and what you're going to get and what are all the function keys for. This device runs on Android, so take consideration we're having some shortcuts buttons that are very convenient when you're trying to boot up a game or you just want to mess around with an emulator. So first of all, we're going to get two analog sticks. The analog sticks are like the typical analog sticks you can see like with the first generation of Chinese handheld. They don't have a click, and this is not, let's say, the Nintendo Switch look-like joysticks. Then we're going to get like select a start. We're going to get the D-pad. It's quite clickish, but the D-pad itself, let's start about it first, because this, I don't like it, and I will tell you why. So at the right side we're going to get A, B, X, Y, and what I don't get is like, why not adding some extra buttons over here, because we have so much free space that we can, let's say, have a better configuration in my opinion. So over here we're going to get some function keys. We have a volume, the G is a quite interesting story. Then we're going to get the on and off switch, and some extra functional keys, for example going back home and return, for if you want to browse the internet or you just want to go return in a game. Very convenient. At the front we're going to get the audio jack over here, a headphone jack, and I must say that the headphone jack is something you don't see very often on every single handheld nowadays. Another thing, we're going to get two speakers, so finally we got some decent audio when it comes to this handheld, and I must say that sounds pretty damn good. But let's take a close look at the audio quality itself. Just give you a quick example. But when you take a close look at the audio itself, it sounds really nice. And when you're playing a game like Riptide, you can just hear every single sound effect, the splashing, just the motor of the, let's say, the jet ski that you're on. And overall, the audio quality of this device is pretty cool. Mid and high are noticeable, but when it comes to the bass, there is no bass at all. So take that into consideration if you want to listen to some music, for example. At the back we're going to get 4 shoulder buttons, so we're going to get 8 in total. Then we're going to get the option for entering in CF card. We have an HDMI functionality out, and of course the Type-C for charging and data transfer. So what I like about the Powkiddy is the HDMI functionality. It's plug and play, there is no configuration needed, no mumbo jumbo, just plug and play and have some fun. Okay, so the clamshell design, I would say it feels quite nice. It feels kind of sturdy. Like you still see that there is some movement on this display itself, but nothing really to worry about. The only thing I don't like about it, that we're only having like a couple of ways you can put it. Basically when you're opening up, we're having position 1, then we're going to get position 2. And with the GPD, I know you can even bend it a little bit further. And what I like about it, when you just want to play a game like that, it's super convenient if you can put it basically all the freaking way. So it's a little bit of a bummer because with the previous model we also had this issue. Okay, so let's bring the old model. Let's talk about it first. So what I'd like about the new model is just the color. And I'm just going to be honest, that's the only thing that I basically can say about it. Because when you're looking at the freaking old model, you can see like there is nothing being changed. Like, there are some minor tweaks. The D-pad looks slightly different. I'll say that it feels less sturdy, but still this D-pad is freaking awful. And for fighting games, it's absolutely a no-go. The ABXY looks slightly different. And the touch is more clickish on the new model. Then we're going to get all the same shortcuts. Also this one doesn't have like the clickies on the joysticks. So overall when you're looking at the control panel, it's absolutely the same. And the same is for this, like the movement. So when I'm just going to do it side by side, it almost feels identical. So the 18 and the 18S is like, in my opinion, the same when it comes to the movement of the display itself. It leaves me wonder, like the old model has this issue. Of course we can just use some double-sided tape or some glue to put it back, but this issue, fun fact, I didn't even use this freaking thing a lot. Okay, so let's sandwich the handheld and let's talk about the back of it. Because over here, we're going to get some minor differences. To begin with, we're going to get, of course, the Type-C with the new model compared with the micro USB. This is a big upgrade because I really hate micro USBs. These things always get broken, and especially when it comes to the cables. So when you're looking at the buttons over here, they're like freaking the same. So even with the shoulder button, there is nothing being changed over there. So that is the reason why that was just the reason why I was pretty damn skeptical with these devices, especially with the X18s. So when you're looking at the body itself, it's not big of an improvement. And that is really shitty. But let's take a close look at the weight of the handheld. So this device weighs in total 308 grams. So if you compare this with, let's say, a cheap China handheld, like the cheap, they weigh around like 190, something like that. So it's not bad. Okay, so basically what I did with this product, I just booted up. I did some messing around because I just wanted to see what is happening. Yeah, that is basically happening every single time you booting it up. You're going to get the Powkiddy logo and it's going to be like vibrating like crazy. But an overall, like booting up goes quite fast. It's an Android device, it runs Android 11 and they are basically talking about there are like coming new updates for this device and you need to update this device with a different firmware, what I understand of, to getting the Play Store. Would be a big improvement. I just want to grab it out of the box. And if there is like going to be like big improvements, I will make some separate new videos about it. But for now, I just wanted to give you a look. What is it when you're getting this device? And what is possible that you're not going to get in Play Store? Because that is pretty damn annoying. Alright, so let's talk about some specs. It's wicked nerdy time. And the reason why, because there are some interesting things going on. So first of all, I also double checked with AIDA64. And when you're checking the specs of the manufacturer, for example, the RAM needs to be 6 GB or 8 GB or something like that. But it's in general 4 GB. Then we're going to get some difference with the battery. And the CPU and GPU are like they said it is. It comes with Android 11. And the IPS touch display, there is something going on. Because here we're going to get a slightly different, let's say, resolution when you're looking at AIDA64. Of course, we're going to double check it together, but I just wanted to say, I don't know what's going on, but it's kind of weird. And the specs in general, especially to the CPU and GPU, are okay. But let's take a close look at the AIDA64, because I'm curious what are the specs. So first of all, the system, it's called the X18s, alright, so we're going to get 4 GB of RAM, and we're going to get a total storage capacity of 58.88 GB. Some will be like reserved for the system itself. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the CPU. Then we're going to get the 6-core ARM Cortex A55 and the 2-core Cortex A75. Alright, then we're going to get CPU cores 8. Yep. Alright, so this is basically what you're going to get with that. Display, that's also very interesting, 1280 by 1280 screen resolution. Okay, that is different like what they said in the manual. And this time refresh rate says 28 Hz, and that can be maybe an issue with the software itself. I'm hoping that we can fix it in the future, because I know like with the previous model was something like 59 Hz, some weird thing going on. Then we're going to get here the GPU, the Mali G52. Okay, so the battery life, let's take a close look at that. Charge, voltage, and everything needs to be here. In total, we're going to get in capacity of 3060 milliamp. Okay, so there are some interesting things going on here, because didn't they state something like 5000 milliamp? Oh man, see, I'm confused now. But let's take a close look at this beautiful IPS display that is inside this Me machine. And I must say, like, I have seen it before. If it's any better like the previous model, that's something we're going to look at it later. But let's talk about the display itself, and also how is the firmware itself. Well, let's take a close look at the display itself. They were not lying. It's a beautiful, and so far I can see, an IPS panel. And the colors, everything looks very nice, bright and colorful. Don't be confused with an OLED panel, because that's just basically next level. But when you're paying a lot of money, like for a device like the X18s, that is just a minimum that they can give you. But overall, I'm very pleased with this result when it comes to the display itself. Okay, let's talk about the firmware, because this is the part I really hate. So when you're getting the stock firmware, and there are not a lot of options. So first of all, it comes pre-installed with some games like Riptide GP2 that we're going to talk about in this video. But we don't get a lot of options. There is no Play Store, and so far I understand there are some firmware updates that you can do in the future, and maybe they're already like being there when I'm basically watching this video. But then overall, this is the layout. The layout is very limited. For example, here we're going to get some options, game simulators. There is basically nothing freaking installed on this thing, so you need to get to work yourself. So what you can do with the tools, here we're going to get the option called Files, or the File Manager. And with this option, what you can do is basically add your own files through a couple of different ways. So basically there are two ways you can add your files. First, you're going to connect it with your PC with the Type-C. And it will ask you like if you want to charge it or you just want to use it like data transfer. But with this option, you can basically transfer everything to the internal memory. Another way is of course a CF card. If you're going to put in CF card in your X18s, what you can do is basically expand your memory to begin with, and you can load up your files this way. There are basically a couple of ways you can so add new programs to it. So first of all, you can sideload them as I'm showing you through the two methods. Then we're going to get the APK files that you can basically add to the system itself, like pp, sspp. Some are like basically demos, so take consideration there are some limitations when it comes to this. So when you're going to do like applications, some like the Red Dream, I have bought this. So if you're having a Play Store, you can get the full edition and you can have the unlocking of the full HD and 4K. But sadly, we don't have the Play Store at this moment making this video, so I'm just going to basically load up the files like this. And then we're going to have also the option for RetroArch, in my opinion, one of the best ways. But still, it's very limited. I noticed like some games were crashing. I had a lot of issues with the Sega Saturn and also the Wii. Maybe it's a compatibility issue when it comes to Android 11. Yeah, so there were like a lot of things that had some issues, and in my opinion, I was not very happy with it. I got some stuff working, so that's for me the most important thing, so I can test my programs and so I can play some games just to see what we're going to get. But first, let's try ADAS64, because let's see if this thing actually got the specs that we need. Okay guys, so if you want to play some old school 16-bit games, of course it will be just fine. So I already told you about the D-pad. I really freaking hate the D-pad, it's awful. But if you just want to play some Beefcake and Wolfies, it's just fine, you know, like it works fine somehow, like it's freaking magic. But then overall, it's okay, let's put it that way. Beefcake. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, I have been messing around with RetroArch, but I couldn't get like the right emulator to work, and when it's worked, we had like a lot of like a bad performance. And the best performance I had with Sega Dreamcast, the combination with the X18s, was with this system. As you can see, like it doesn't like get at the 60 FPS, but in my opinion, it's still very playable. So I'm hoping in the future we can have like some firmware updates and some other, let's say, fixes, so we're going to get better performance. Yeah, because come on man, there's so much stuff that we can play now when it comes to hardware and Sega Dreamcast. And I got my ass kicked. Okay, so next up I wanted to try some Sega Saturn on the Powkiddy. But it doesn't run that great. I've been messing around with it, still running on the original, let's say the resolution. It does not upscale to Full HD whatsoever. It's not running like it should be. Like 52 FPS, it's not again hitting the 60 FPS. I tried it with RetroArch, but I didn't even get it to boot it up. Like it keeps crashing somehow. Same goes with the Dolphin emulator. So a lot of issues and a lot of problems. Daytona, it runs like shit today on the Powkiddy. Alright, so let's take a close look at the PlayStation 1 part. And I must say that if this thing runs, let's say the game's pretty good, I can really enjoy it. I love the soundtrack, man. Still didn't map the analog stick, I just wanted to use it like this. But another thing I noticed, like, it is not really comfortable. Like, I need to put my hands in such a weird positions when I want to reach out to the freaking shoulder buttons. Like, it's freaking annoying. Yeah, of course. You got a rocket in your face. But PlayStation 1 runs just fine. But do you care about it? Let me know in the comments, because there is so much of hardware that we can play some freaking PlayStation 1, man. Of course, if Sega Saturn doesn't run great, it's highly possible that PlayStation Portable will suffer the same. So at the moment I'm running this through RetroArch with the latest edition of PPSSPP. But you can already hear it, like, it runs really crappy. Okay, but what makes this Powkiddy XS so special? So first of all, it runs on Android 11, like not the Android 11 part, but more like that it runs on a pretty recent Android edition. And when this thing gets, let's say, better emulation options, and also it comes with a better option when it comes to, let's say, an Android where we can actually use the Play Store, then it would be interesting. So we're having like the all-round device that I always wanted. Think about like a device that we can use with the touch, but also that we can use it with like retro games. That's what I think really convenient is with your Android devices. You can do so much really cool things with it, but now, in my opinion, it's still very limited. Great example, like this thing is not comfortable to play at all. Like the buttons are completely messed up when it comes to mapping. But this is just a really great highlight how cool this device is. Okay, I need to do something before I'm going to do the final conclusion. Let's remove the freaking plastic, because people will bitch about it. Satisfied now. Take in consideration that I got this device when it was just released, and maybe in the future they will give some better improvements when it comes to the software. But I just wanted to show you what I got out of the box, and maybe they will sell it for quite a very long time. You just need to like mess around yourself with the emulators, with the settings, and not even forget like with the software itself. If you don't want to do all this mumbo jumbo, just leave this thing alone and just search something that will fit your personal need. I just wanted to show you in this video what you're going to get and what is my personal experience, and you can see like it's more negative than positive. I want to thank you for watching, consider subscribing, hit that little bell, become one of the Wicked family, and I will see you in the next video.